morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're tuning in from across the country and around the world. This is the Life Midwest podcast. No, we're not social sciences anymore. Forget it. I'm Kevin Palmer. That's Wes Shirley over there.
Hello.
And we're back again this week, episode 49, which is kind of hard to believe, but this one's going to come from a pretty heavy place, obviously, with what's going on over in Eastern Europe. Obviously, we're going to be talking God, who am I kidding? We're going to be talking a lot about Ukraine today and the situation that's going on between Ukraine and Russia, right, buddy?
Yeah. We don't really go hard hitting news, but I think we are this time.
I think this is just one of those situations where it's like, we are a current events podcast, and so this is about as current events as it gets, although we're not a newscast, and we definitely don't want to try to replace the news. I think we want to talk about, how we got here, what the agendas are on both sides, what's happening on both sides, and, be able to take that into a bit of a palatable discussion here today, and be able to kind of dissect it with a little bit of Kevin and Wes. I don't want to say humor, but I mean there are some things I did not know about Zelensky, which we'll get into. Which I'm sure there are some things that Wes didn't know about Zelensky either.
I didn't know anything about Zelensky. I'm not even gonna lie. I know a lot about him now as far as recent events goes.
Right. and just for full transparency, we with everything happening last week, in as late of the week as it did, we didn't want to do a shoot from the hip episode where we didn't really have the full picture, I guess you would say, as to what was going on. I think by Saturday morning we probably did. Is that fair to say, Wes?
Yeah. We obviously don't have the full picture as it's still an evolving subject, but compared to like, holy crap, Russia decided to just aggress towards their neighbors. Like, I guess there was a lot of foreshadowing, and then of course all of the threats and lining up soldiers before that. But at the day that we would have recorded for the podcast, all anyone knew was, damn, they actually did it.
Yeah. And so there wouldn't have been much of a conversation around it, number one. And I think number two, it's again, it's an unfolding situation. There's new things happening every hour. And so we also don't want to limit the discussion to today's episode. So I do want to come out and say we have something special planned for our 50th episode. If for some reason shit hits the fan in a history books sort of way, obviously we'll return and kind of discuss that. I would also probably want to foreshadow that we will eventually revisit the topic of this situation as things go on, whether that's, a few weeks or whatever it may be from now. So just to kind of put that out there as far as like how we plan on approaching discussing it. And of course, we'll bring in some ways that you can get in on the conversation as well. And we look forward to that. So I think a lot of people are probably wondering, how did we get here? And that's where I want to start this week. How did we get to where we are right now in this situation? I have some notes here. I do want to say a lot of the notes that we have here as of recording, this is as of Monday the 28th. So if there's anything that happened Tuesday through Friday, all I'm going to say is this is why we are a current events podcast and not a news podcast. I think there's a big difference to be had there. So, Wes, did you have anything that you wanted to kind of chime in or add as far as like how we got here before we get started?
I think that takes more than just a quick comment. I'm not like, I like history. I know a bit of history, but that's like a really complex topic. There's something about like a Cold War and the fall of the USSR and the Ukraine becoming their own country, even though they were previously Russian, and Vladimir Putin being like, I need the Rhineland, or, insert World War II reference here. There's a really good video by Real Life Lore on YouTube that talks about kind of the history of it. It's like maybe a 15-minute video. I did watch that to catch up on this, and I highly recommend it. Real Life Lore has a...
Can you paste that in the chat just so I can make sure it gets its way into the description?
Yeah, let me actually just look it up real quick. It should be in my recent history on YouTube.
Okay.
Let me just throw that linky dinky right up in that chatable box. There you gun. They're gone.
Thanks.
They're
All right.
gone.
All right. You
There you
can
go.
continue.
But yeah, Real Life Lore is a YouTube channel. He does a whole bunch of informational videos. It's akin to people like Wendover Productions, if you're familiar with that, or like Caspian Report, just like really down to earth infotainment, I guess. Talks about history, geography, political ties, and this specific episode of Real Life Lore goes into why Russia is invading the Ukraine as recent as 3 days from today, March 1st. So pretty recent. Check that out if you want to know what happened. I'm sure there's a lot of other excellent resources out there. I'm sure every news site has done some type of history recap. I could probably name 30 other YouTube channels that are benefiting from discussing this topic. So, if you want to know more about the history of it and how we ended up here, I would recommend doing a little bit deeper research than us. But basically, Vladimir Putin's like, I want Ukraine back, and then decided he's going to take it.
Yeah, and I think I do want to say we're going to talk about this in the context of where we kind of assume that you, the listener, knows that that Ukraine was once a part of Russia, and kind of, you know, the Cold War and the USSR and kind of all that. We're really going to be me specifically. I plan on focusing around 2014 through now. So as far as that portion is concerned, you know, we had a pro-Russian president in Ukraine through 2014. This is the skinny. Okay, I'm not looking to cover every detail here, but here's the skinny. We had a pro-Russian president in Ukraine until 2014, when the government was I don't want to say overthrown.
I think they held a democratic election.
Yeah, in 2014 they held a democratic election in which a longtime pro-Russian political figurehead, we'll say, was ousted, and this is where Vladimir Zelensky kind of comes in. This guy who didn't really have a career, wasn't really a career politician, wasn't obviously isn't necessarily pro-Russian, and is just completely different from any type of leader that Ukraine has ever had. Most countries, I would argue, have ever had, especially with what's come out about him in recent days, and kind of people digging into the history books and finding out who he is as a person. Did you know he was a comedian, for example?
I did. You can actually find a video of him playing the piano with his wiener. Well, it's like a play. You don't actually see his dong, but like he's acting like he's playing a piano with his wiener, and it's actually really funny.
God, I love a leader with a sense of humor.
Right?
So Zelensky gets elected in 2014, and all of a sudden Putin starts kind of whining, and he starts putting troops at the border, and he thinks that there's this pressure from Ukraine, and eventually there is he claimed that Ukraine was a threat because it had been taken over by extremists. Now, he even referred to them as Nazis, which is hilarious, by the way, because Zelensky is Jewish. He's fucking Jewish.
I'm sure he finds that outright hilarious, yeah. Could you fucking imagine? You call me a Nazi?
Exactly. So there was a peace deal that was signed, troops from the border. I think at the time Obama put some sanctions on him, on Putin, and Putin backed off after him and Zelensky signed some sort of agreement.
Is that when he took Crimea?
Yes. Do you have anything on that?
Oh, not particularly, other than that was also kind of an egregious act of war.
Right.
We're just going to aggress. I want this land. I'm going to take it. Putin ran like a disinformation campaigns like on the local news channels in that portion of Ukraine, like sympathetic to the Russian cause, and like they had a lot of support on the Ukrainian side, unfortunately, because just like they were doing here in the US with Facebook, they were messing with politics. A lot of propaganda in front of a lot of people using new technologies, and A lot of new people aren't familiar and savvy to how you can be abused with those technologies. And that's kind of why I think the world's on high alert now as far as like cybersecurity goes. Because I mean, he's done it before.
And usually, once you've done something before, you'll probably do it again, because people have the capacity to change. It doesn't mean that they do. And Mr. Putin is no exception to that, I will say. So, following the events in Crimea and all of that fun stuff, where there's an agreement signed, he backs off, whatever. Tensions remained high for several years. Fast forward to the end of 2020 or end of the end of 2021, and Putin starts lining up troops at the border again, claiming that there is genocide happening. Again, hilarious to claim that on a Jewish president in his country. And kind of to your point, Wes, though, talking about the propaganda, the media, I mean, Putin controls that all. He controls it all. It's either him or Kremlin controlled. It doesn't matter.
Benefactors of oligarchs who are pushing
Yep.
an agenda to support his aggression, so on and so forth.
Exactly. And so, unfortunately, a lot of Russian people who don't know any better and don't really know what's going on outside of their own country are blindly supporting their president because they don't have anything else to believe and aren't being told anything else. So you have people protesting still. There are people who are protesting. They're getting hauled off, put away, God knows where, probably to never see the light of day again, because that's the kind of freedoms that you have in Russia. So imagine being in a place where this country is claiming that this other country is up to all this no good stuff, and if you disagree with him or tell him no, you magically disappear. It's pretty scary. And then he starts putting up, so again, he starts putting up troops at the border at the end of 2021. And he's telling everyone, "Oh, I'm not going to attack. I'm not going to attack." He tells Biden he's not going to attack. He tells, UK, France. He tells everybody, "I'm not doing anything." Like, well, you're clearly fucking doing something, right? And so U.S. intelligence is like, okay, this is what's going to happen. He's basically going to attack Ukraine. So we fast forward to, I think it was February 23rd, around 11 o'clock our time at night. Might have been the 22nd. Hold on, let me look at the calendar real quick. Most people are already in bed. And Putin comes on the airways on national TV and says that he is beginning a military operation on certain areas of Ukraine. And immediately the alarms are going off around the world for several reasons, right? Where one, you immediately have this huge destabilization happening in Eastern Europe now, which affects the security of several other surrounding countries, right? Who either are or aren't a part of it, and either way they're affected by it. Here's kind of the latest as of Monday the 28th since the invasion. I do want to say there are talks between Russian and Ukrainian delegations. They're underway near the border with Belarus as Russia continues to ramp up war efforts, and President Putin ordered his country's deterrence forces, including nuclear arms, to be placed on high alert. So I know the phrase nuclear arms probably scares a lot of people, but as of right now, they're just words, right? I don't think anyone has any reason to panic. Do you?
Well, yeah, panicking's not good, but it's a little disconcerting. I mean, he's kind of being a child about it. Basically, like, but nukes. Or if you won't let me have what I want, then nukes. And he's just flaunting around dangerous words. Like, he's trying to strong arm his way and like crybaby his way into getting what he wants, I feel. And I wouldn't put past someone with those tactics to actually use them if they lose. So don't panic. I mean, fuck, what are you going to do about it anyways? Just like, if that is going to happen, enjoy the rest of your life. Otherwise, like, it's above all of us. Hopefully he doesn't hit the button, and hopefully no one hits the button. I have read recently that maybe mutually assured destruction isn't the truth anymore. Maybe there are protocols in place and new technologies that could prevent just the end of the world, but I don't know how confirmed that is. And while I hope that's true, you can't really. I don't know. I'm not a future teller. I think it'd be very difficult for him to get his subordinates to hit those buttons, especially the way he treats them. just well yesterday or the day before. He was like treating one of his leading commanders like a child, just like, now what did I tell you to say or something like that, just on like live TV. So um, I don't know if I was working for him, I wouldn't be pressing any buttons for the dude. But then again, when your life's in, I mean, I don't think any buttons will be pressed. I guess I concur with what you're saying. Probably don't worry.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to panic about right now, because to your point, there's nothing that can be done about it anyways, from you as like an individual standpoint. But I think the other piece of it is that there's a lot that needs to unfold still. And I think that what's important to remember is that at the end of the day, this is a Russia Ukraine situation. Obviously, neither country is a part of NATO, and so that changes things drastically too, right? I think if Ukraine was a part of NATO, then everybody would be in there right now. UK, France, us, just whoever's a part of NATO would be in there.
So I think that's what Russia's trying to avoid. Putin feels threatened that Ukraine, which is currently a buffer between Russia and the rest of Europe,
Specifically Poland, which is a part of NATO.
right? Like he could quickly lose a buffer in between what he perceives as just absolute enemies. The way he sees it is Ukraine should be his. It's now been through hegemony or propaganda, whatever you will, from Western nations. The people in NATO, people in the EU who Ukraine is currently trying to join amid the war. Russia's, or Putin specifically, because I don't think his actions or views reflect even a majority portion of the Russian population. He sees it as a danger if he does not go in and swoop up Ukraine before NATO comes in and is now at his door, cutting him off from access to the Black Sea, if potentially cutting him off from access to trade in that part of Europe, and also then their borders are exposed. I don't foresee giant wars with boots on the ground in the future. I think it's really weird that Russia decided to invade with troops, given the technology we have in this era, drones and so forth. I think it's a show, and basically like, I'm gonna stomp in there, grab this place, claim my territory, and have a healthy distance between me and my enemies. And it luckily doesn't seem to be going that smooth for him, because in his pursuit, in his process of justifying what he's doing, he's committing war crime after war crime, just like senselessly invading a sovereign nation who doesn't want any part of it. They are putting up a fight and they are giving him more than he bargained for. I don't want to speculate too much because I really have not caught up for today's news. It's just been a crazy day. But I think he bombed like a Holocaust memorial today. Like, just some like, also that he has claimed airspace above Ukraine. So like, he's aggressing even harder, especially since I think failing at this point might mean him his presidency. Any type of credit he has might be flushed away. Like, why did you go into the senseless war? The ruble is trash right now. The whole world is against us. We can't play in any world sanctioned sports. Like, I see a lot of backlash from this because whether he's justified or not, he is committing war crimes. He is dragging his country down with him, and he is not really adhering to the norms of the world at this point, especially in Europe. Like, you don't just invade countries in Europe.
Right. And the sanctions really are not just coming from the US, they're coming from other countries too. And I actually saw a funny article the other this was actually, it was earlier today, where people were stuck trying to board one of the means of public transportations, because Apple Pay and Google Pay are not being accepted or working in the country right now. That's obviously a small annoying one for its citizens, but there's bigger ones that affect Russian banks and disallowing other countries from being able to do business with those banks. And it's ultimately really hurting Russia's economy. A senior Biden administration official did say, quote, "Our strategy, to put it simply, is to make sure that the Russian economy goes backward as long as President Putin decides to go forward with this invasion of Ukraine." Which I thought that was a unique play on words of sending him backward as long as he goes forward. But maybe that's just me and finding everything in the world cute. So and I am going to have a link of the current list of sanctions that are listed, put in a nice list for anyone who cares to read it. There's also a really great coverage index. Not that I specifically support any one news organization over the other, but CNN does have a great website or a great page, kind of dedicated to the coverage index. There's a catch up tab, an on the ground tab, a sanctions tab, and a talks tab. That's going to be all there for you in the podcast description as well. So, hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about the position that we are in all of this, and what our options might be, and what outcomes we might face in all this. So, stick around. Welcome back, everyone, to the Life Midwest podcast. On the other side of the break, it's Kevin Palmer and Wes Shirley with you on this fine Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're listening in from on your favorite listening app. Hey, speaking of that listening app, if you're looking for ways to support us, there's a couple of great ways you can do that. One is to leave us a review if your listening app does support it and allow it. Whether that's leaving a rating or writing a review, just saying, hey, I like these guys. Talk about stuff that matters to me, and I don't even know how to talk about us in a way that I genuinely would not know how to leave a review about us. So if you're struggling with that too, that's okay. You can send us an email about it, actually, at support@thelifemidwest.com. So leave us some comments on today's conversation too about the situation in Ukraine and Russia, and what you're thinking, what you're feeling, whether that's just intense anxiety. Maybe you're in the active reserves and you're doing that Blues Clues, like we just got a letter. We just got you know what? I saw that TikTok the other day. I don't know. Wes, did you see that TikTok?
I haven't. I'm assuming it's a draft joke.
Yeah, I gotta send it to you. It's a little lighthearted for the situation. So let's see. Oh, we also have socials at the Life Midwest on all major social platforms, and of course we also have a website, which I always forget to talk about every week. It is literally thelifemidwest.com. Literally. So if you can read, you can spell it. Check it out. Wes has a cool blog post from when he went to Thailand towards the end of last year.
It is a blog post.
It is a blog post with some great pictures. I will give you that. So, it's probably cool because I think a lot of big podcasters probably have this sort of similar setup where they have a website with a blog and they're posting where they're traveling, if they're going somewhere, if they're doing something. I have to imagine being a big time podcaster is probably a pretty cool job.
Yeah, you could say that, with all the experience I have being a big time podcaster.
You know what job I don't want right now, though?
What would that be?
I don't want Biden's job.
Oh, I do. Let me have it. Let me do it.
I do not want to be president of the United States right now. And I will tell you why. I will tell you why, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, I'm just down for the challenge. I've always wanted to be the president. I'm not guaranteeing I'll be of anything better than any other president before, but goddamn well I give it my best.
That could be your slogan, actually. But goddamn, I'll give it my best.
Well, now that it's out in the public, all these Midwesterners who definitely listen to us are going to take that, run for president, and then get there before I am. I'm not old enough, unfortunately.
Only a few years away from the glory that is Wes Shirley running for president of the United States of America.
Few years, few million, whatever.
Yeah, but I'll tell you why I don't want his job. I think Biden is in this is staying apolitical. I think he's in a damned if he does, damned if he doesn't situation.
Oh, he's being absolutely spit roasted by all sides as far as like media coverage goes.
Right.
Trump Republicans think he's doing terrible and it's just the worst. Fiscal Republicans are, he's a Democrat. So obviously they're against him and we get news coverage from that lens. Uh, I don't really watch news from Democrats that talk about their own party. It kind of seems gratuitous. So like most of my exposure to people's opinions on Biden would be from other parties. The other party, the only one we have in this country.
The other major party, the other major political party.
We can say major, but like the only other.
Okay, fair. But if you think about it, and NATO isn't in much of a better position either, being threatened by Putin with, quote, consequences which you haven't faced in your history, end quote. That's a pretty big game for someone who doesn't speak English.
Did he really say that?
He did say that.
Damn, that's like some supervillain level shit.
Yeah, he has threatened NATO and the U.S. with, quote, consequences which you haven't faced in your history.
Summons Cthulhu above New York City. What will you do now?
Okay, and for those who don't know, elaborate a little bit for them.
Oh, Cthulhu is like science fiction, big baddie, ender of the universes type floating spaghetti monster. I don't know. He's like a tentacle monster that's like the elder god from the Lovecraft series. You may have had to read it in like junior high or something, maybe early high school. But he's like the dark one that lives at the bottom of the ocean. It's a meme.
Everyone likes memes.
Buddy.
But yeah, I think I think he's in a really tough position, man, because here's the thing. If anyone goes, and I'm not saying this is going to happen. So before I go any further, I'm not saying this is going to happen. But if anyone goes in there, any other country, it's World War III. Because just about any other country in this world has some sort of stake or foot in this situation, either because they're a part of NATO or they have trade or economic policies or deals with Russia or Ukraine, or a combination of the three. I just think, and I mostly am talking about US or anyone in NATO. And I think that you have this situation where you are looking at World War III. And I think a lot of people are making that joke, but it shouldn't be made a joke because there is a scenario in which that plays out. It's not likely. I don't think it's likely. I think Putin's just talking a really big game. Granted, he's showing some actions right now with what he's doing in Ukraine, but I don't think he's capable of taking on the entire rest of the world. Do you?
Definitely not. I can't see any reason why. There's no way he would win every front war. I can't imagine China would be like, yeah, I'm backing that horse. We have insane dude over there basically doing whatever he wants on the global scale. We're trying to do our own things kind of under the radar. So like, he's not going to get their help. Like, right. They have their own fish to fry. They want Taiwan, for example. Maybe they would vie for that while Putin's going down. But I can't imagine he's going to have any real backup. He has like his puppet states surrounding him. But, even Kazakhstan was like, no, we're not giving you troops. Like, sorry, bro. Times are tough.
And I think that's why he's ordered his country's deterrence forces, including nuclear arms, especially including nuclear arms, to be placed on high alert. Because I'm going to quote a Reddit comment I saw the other day when this news first broke of him ordering his country's deterrence forces, including nuclear arms, to be placed on high alert. It was actually a Reddit article or it was an article that was shared on Reddit. And there was a comment with over 3,000 upvotes. And this article had only been posted like 15 minutes ago. And this article had basically won the internet. And it said, nothing says I fucked up like threatening to throw over the whole table.
God damn it, Grandma, quit winning at Monopoly.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. This is a guy who's losing a really shitty game of Monopoly that he started.
Right.
So like, I mean, what is his only other way out of this? He's not going to back down. At this point, he's not going to back down and be like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I had a bad day. No. Now he's just going to find some reason to keep doing what he's doing. Do I think he'll eventually back down? I don't know. I don't know if there's a scenario in which he actually backs down and is just unless Ukraine can take care of Russian forces on their own. I don't think there's a situation in which he backs off. And if he does, he'll say something along the lines of "I'll be back," like most villains do.
Right.
Any other potential outcomes that you see out of this, Wes?
I'm kind of floating around a few of them. So the three options I see is Putin dethroned in some way, them actually taking over Ukraine and it being kind of a miserable drag where a lot of refugees have to flee while he claims this empty territory and just for show. And then maybe aggresses further because he won that one and really spirals out of control. Who knows? It could be a whole like downhill Hitler thing. I know he's probably been compared so many times and it's so out of context and I shouldn't, but let's say it turns into that. But then there's also the possibility that the Ukraine just absolutely fights back. Maybe they are invited into the EU or voted into it. Maybe they do join NATO. Maybe the US does send troops. Maybe we call Russia's bluff and say we have enough intelligence that we know you can't nuke us, so we're just going to take care of this. Who knows at this point? I haven't watched the news from today, but I guess Russia gained a little bit more foothold, so hopefully it's not towards the route where Putin just raffle stomps Ukraine over a long period of time.
Yeah, and I will say I did read something today on there was the Russian forces advance on Kyiv has stalled. There's some speculation that is because of lack of fuel and food, and like you said, possibly direction as well. Ukrainians are posting videos on TikTok. I actually saw this earlier, and I know it's TikTok, but it's becoming this like visual-esque type of Reddit. For if you're in the right algorithm, it's this visual-esque type of Reddit where people from Ukraine are actually posting videos. You know, they're on the ground in the scene where citizens are having conversations with Russians, and the Russians don't know where they're going. They don't know what the direction is. They don't know what the objective is. And I'm not saying that nobody does, but I'm saying you have people on the ground who don't know. And I think that's something I think that Ukraine can take advantage of. I hope they do. And I hope it doesn't come to any more involvement than that. And I hope the lives lost are minimal. You know, obviously, you know, it goes without saying that both of our thoughts are with Ukraine and the people of Ukraine and families and you know, even those of Ukrainian descent who are proud to be a part of that land's history. You know, I think that's important, and I think that needs to be celebrated. And I think, as far as from an individual standpoint, as far as what can I do, try to live your normal life. That would be my advice: is try to live your normal life. Try to do the things that you are normally doing, and don't let this distract you too much, because worrying about it isn't going to change the result of what happens. So stay informed, stay alert, don't freak out. But I think at the same time, you know, continue on with your daily life in the best way you can. It's been real. I don't know if it's been fun, but it's definitely been fucking real. It's time for shout-outs. You got any shout-outs this week, Wes?
I'm probably stealing this from you because why wouldn't you? But shout out to President Vladimir Zelensky.
Fuck you.
Dude's a legend. Dude could have like murdered people in a past life. No one cares. Right now, he's fucking fighting the resistance against the stormtroopers invading his rebel base. Like, it's pretty cool. Shout out to mothers. Give your mothers a call. You can have two mothers. It's 2022. Give them both a call. Shout out to Vladimir Putin. What the fuck are you doing? Go home. Take a nap. Like, you're tired, buddy.
You're not with you when you're hungry, Putin.
Someone throw a Snickers at that mofo.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I also want to shout out Zelensky. Doing a fantastic job since he's been elected, and trying to keep the peace out there. and now he's really trying to keep the peace, if you know what I mean. So good for him. Also want to shout out Putin. Just go home. I mean, you're already home, hiding in your bunker like a fucking coward. You're not on the ground.
Yo, I want to encourage Vladimir Putin to go get into a fist fight with his counterpart with a similar name.
Yeah, ride in shirtless with your horse. I know that's what you fucking like doing anyways, you sicko.
Dude, we're gonna get hacked.
Yeah, right.
They have crawlers. They have spiders all over the internet searching for words. Who said Putin?
I'll give them words. I don't care if this is the last episode of the Life Midwest podcast. I will give them fucking words. I do care. I would miss you all dearly.
Yeah, I don't want to be hacked off the face of the earth.
Yeah,
we'll have to come back with a different podcast name, a whole new domain for the website no one goes to. It'd be tragic.
Yeah. TheLifeMidwest.com, everybody. Speaking of plugs, don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite listening platform, or of course you can follow us, like us, retweet us, share us on any major social platform at The Life Midwest. We're going to get out of here. Next week, we're going to be celebrating our 50th episode unless shit hits the fan. That's what I've been told to say by the big bosses upstairs.
Shh, they record us now.
On that note, we will talk to you guys next Saturday and every Saturday here on the Life Midwest podcast. Take care.
Hasta la taco.